Giant Voice, the official podcast of the United States Navy's largest overseas installation, Commander Fleet Activities, Yokosuka. All the information you need to succeed as a forward deployed sailor in Japan. Each week, we tackle one topic and speak to experts who can answer some of your most frequently asked questions. This is the Giant Voice Podcast.
Welcome back to the Giant Voice. I'm your host today. I'm Garrett. Today we're going to be talking to Joe and Ryan, who are both members of the Tuesday Night D&D. Joe Vincent is actually running the D&D campaign over there, and he's one of the MWR workers, and we're really happy to have them here today. So without further ado, here's Ryan and Joe. Yeah, tell me a little bit about what's going on at MWR, and who you are, and what the overall goal is with what you guys are doing on Tuesday nights.
All right. So we're running a D&D campaign. It's at the Single Sailor Liberty Center. We've been running it for about 5 years now. We had a 4-year campaign that we ended about a year ago. Okay. And we've been running some other stuff, a module lately.
So what's a module?
So a module is, they have these professionally made adventures that Wizards of the Coast makes, and that's a module.
Okay.
Whereas when I run stuff, I normally just do homebrew.
Okay.
It's all my own story and my own everything. Everything's custom.
Okay. And so tell me who you are real quick.
I'm Joe Vincent. I've been working at Liberty Center for over 8 years now. I'm prior enlisted. I'm originally from Kansas City and Seattle.
Okay. So what brought you over here? You stationed over here?
I was stationed here in my last 3 years in the Navy, and then I stayed here. Got out in 2011. Okay. Just stayed here, yeah.
What kept you here?
Family.
Family, okay.
Yeah.
You married into it?
Yeah.
Yep. It happens a lot, but you know what? That's how we get where we are.
Yep.
So, yeah, go ahead and tell me a little bit about you. You told me a little bit earlier, so go ahead and let's hear it again.
Like I said earlier, I'm Ryan Dalrymple. I'm from Oklahoma. I work on the CVN 76. I've been here for about 3 years now. I actually started when they were running that 4-year campaign, which I absolutely loved when we were playing it. And I still love the campaigns that we're running today, because all his homebrew stuff is really great. I have to say the module is also good, but if I have to pick, I'd definitely pick his homebrew any day.
Okay. So, how long have you been playing?
I've been playing since the 80s.
Okay. What got you into it?
I think, I don't know if they knew all about it, but my parents bought me that initial box set that, with the 4 characters in it. And I just kind of fell in love with it. Played a lot more 2nd edition and a little 3rd, a little 4th. I played everything.
Okay.
I've also played a whole bunch of other stuff. Vampire the Masquerade, Rifts.
I did a little bit
all
of that.
Kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I remember. Well, the thing is, my parents they bought me instead of buying me D&D, they bought me Dungeon Master. Let me read the book and scared me out of doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
Wasn't until college that I was reintroduced to it. So, what about you? What brought you into it?
I started playing shortly after I moved out of my parents' house in 2018.
Okay.
I've been playing ever since.
What was your first thoughts on it? Or had you heard about it before you moved out?
Yes, I had, but I didn't have a chance to really play it with anybody.
Okay.
There weren't a whole lot of people who would play it, and even then, when there were people playing it, they already had their groups, and they didn't have room for another person.
Right.
That's another thing, is how prevalent it is nowadays.
Mhm.
It used to be super taboo.
Yeah, nobody wanted to be associated with it. Yeah, and that's the funny thing, because I was in college when I was introduced to it from I knew what it was when I was really young, and I did have a friend. I was into music. He was a bass player, and we tried to do some stuff at one point, but it didn't work out. But there was one time he was like, "Well, I can't come over today because I'm playing D&D," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you play that like every other day," and he's like, "It was just he and his friend."
Yeah.
And they couldn't get a campaign going. They had their own thing, and they did that. And like you said, it was kind of taboo. And then I got to college, and I was a comic book guy, and a lot of the guys that were comic book guys when I was in college were into D&D as well. And Vampire, that's the only game I've played is Vampire, and that was just because they needed an extra guy.
Yeah.
So I was able to make a character for that, but I never did get to I made a character for the campaign that they had at my college, but I never got to play it. So, so tell me why you like it. Tell me what it is about D&D that just makes you want to run a campaign.
I don't know. It used to be, as a player, I mean, kind of growing your character, and a lot of our stuff was hack and slash. We didn't do a whole lot of RP, role playing. The voices thing is definitely something I kind of steer away from normally. Voices.
Tell me, what is that?
Like having a voice for a character.
Okay.
Yeah, some people are super into it. Sure. And what is it? Critical Role?
Yeah.
They're all voice actors.
Yeah.
And so they made that really popular.
I think that's the one on Amazon right now.
The Vox Machina.
I've seen that one.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing Harmon Quest too.
Yeah, I haven't actually watched their YouTube stuff, but I've watched Vox Machina.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
So people really get into it, huh?
Yeah.
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 So
some people dress up for it. That's
really here
over the top. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know about here, but
definitely some people dress up for it though.
Okay. Even just to sit around a table with your buddies and hey, well, whatever works for you.
Absolutely.
What about you?
So the reason why I really like D&D is, like you mentioned, I like to watch my character grow. I like to see the other players' characters grow. I like to think about what could happen next, what's going on in the story. It's just a great big adventure that's all in the theater of the mind that's really great to me.
Okay. So what character are you running with right now?
In our module I'm running, it's a Dark Elf, it's Ranger, Rogue, and eventually I'll pick up Fighter.
Okay. What about you?
I am running a Serpent Blood Rogue.
What is that?
So Serpent Blood is the...
Well, it's a Yuan-Ti, right?
The player version of the Yuan-Ti.
Okay.
It's like Snake People.
Snake People, yeah. I mean, I've flipped through the book, like the artwork, so I mean, you start to learn a little bit, but yeah, I mean, for those who don't know what it is, I'm glad you guys are kind of,
fleshing it out.
Fleshing it out for me. So yeah, keep going. I want to hear how this...
He's a Soul Knife Rogue, which basically he's able to create a magical weapon mentally.
Okay. Interesting. I'm trying to picture that in my head. So it's kind of like a Psylocke type character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like something like that.
All right. Yeah, it's funny. When I was in college, I didn't get to play, but I helped some of the guys running campaigns write their stories. So I had to read through the books a little bit. It helped me with writing and stuff. So
yeah.
Interesting.
That is another reason I'm into it, is the storytelling. That's why I like running the games.
Yeah.
Just playing the games.
So what did you do while you're in?
I was an SK.
Okay, what is that?
Storekeeper.
Okay.
They merged with PCs, now they're LSs.
Okay.
So
while you were doing that, were you always running with these stories in your head? I've
kind of been a storyteller probably most of my life. haven't really run the game until I started here at MWR.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
No, I know what you mean. I mean, I went to school to do that. So I mean, I've got a couple things out on my own. But yeah, no, I get it. You got a world in your head. You want to get it out. So.
Yeah.
What about you? Are you thinking about any aspirations of running your own campaign, or you just
I actually already am.
Are you really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm running a campaign back in the States for my family.
Really?
Yeah.
Were they already into it, or did they?
Actually, no. They didn't start wanting to play until this last year.
That's kind of cool, man.
I guess hearing me talk about it so much kind of intrigued them. I got my parents to join. I got my little brothers to join. That's
cool. You know what? I heard a guy say one time, "Family that games together stays together." So, interesting. I don't foresee. Well, you know what? I take that back. My oldest is starting to take an interest in it. So, he's got a character. He's always working on a new character. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
But he's got some friends that are kind of steering him into being interested. And if I can get him out of Pokemon, I think we'll be on the right track. But yeah, no. I mean, what have you seen as a like a benefit for sailors who are wanting to get started in this? Because obviously you didn't have any prior experience before you started doing it here, right?
I actually started about a year before coming here.
Okay, but it was with the Navy that you started. No?
I started with so right after I moved out of my parents' house, I lived with some friends and I started playing with them.
Okay. So, but then, you got carried over to while you were here.
Yeah.
What kind of benefits have you seen from sailors who have gotten involved? Some, whether they've been doing it a long time or they just picked it up.
I mean, it's a good leisure activity.
Sure.
It's a good way to sort of unwind from the week.
Okay.
Good. He uses it for stress. A lot of people use it for stress. I actually had a guy play for a while, and he was using it for. He had an alcohol issue, and he was using it to get away from that.
Hey.
So, yeah.
That's a good. I mean,
something to take up. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too is. By finding the community you're part of, and they can kind of hold you accountable. I'm sure there were situations where he might have felt like he needed a lapse, and you guys kind of said, "Hey, come play with us instead."
Yeah,
that's good. What about you? Like, what kind of benefits have you seen since you started?
I've seen it help sailors definitely emotionally, as well as with my friend who used to play with us. On the weekdays outside of D&D, he would like to go drink. And he would show up for D&D every Tuesday. That was one of the main things that he was constant with outside of going to work.
Interesting.
Well, it's also a community thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's camaraderie and friendship and building new relations and all that stuff.
Well, and is it interesting to you to see the kind of people that show up? I mean, because a lot of times there's people that play that you didn't know had a background in it.
Well, most of the people who show up, I've never met before.
Sure.
But yeah, it's all kinds of folks.
So anybody can do it.
All walks of life. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What kind of requirements do you guys have in order to start? Because I know you probably have some sort of code of conduct and ethics in order for anybody to want to join.
Just treat each other right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of have you guys made like lasting friendships and relationships out of this?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we had a chief who was playing before, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Right. We had a couple chiefs play, and I still keep in contact with them over Discord.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we had first class Leaf and Ron, second class. I still keep in touch with them.
Okay.
Play Steam games with them sometimes online.
That's good, man, and it's one of those things that I'm sure you guys, it gives you that warm and fuzzy when you know that it's made an impact on you and it's made an impact on other people.
Absolutely.
So, what kind of things do people look forward to if they're looking at getting involved?
Imagination.
Imagination.
Yeah. An escape.
Okay. Is there any like special? Do you ever do like special campaigns based on anything, or like special events?
I just did a one-off.
Explain what that is.
So normally we run, like I said, the module.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who is kind of running it, he went on vacation for a couple weeks. So I did 2 sessions. I had to make characters. We might finish it up tonight if we have time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a homebrew, just some story that I came up with. He hit me up and said, "Hey, I'm not going to make it for the next 2 weeks. Can you make something?" And so I made a story.
Okay.
Had them make characters and played a sort of an impromptu, one-off game.
Okay. And you look like you had something that you were wanting to say.
I was just going to put in that for this improv that's going on, I have a character currently that nearly killed the party last game.
Interesting. Well, you always hear the story about the gazebo that killed the party. Do you guys have any interesting stories? You guys know that story, right?
No.
I just told me a long time ago that there was I guess a big tournament or a big gathering in California. I think it was California.
Yeah.
Where they had a party go up, and the dungeon master was like, "You see a gazebo," and they said, "Well, can I throw a spear at it?" And he's like, "Okay." And so he threw a spear, and he's like, they're like, "What happened?" He goes, "Nothing." And they said, "Well, I'm gonna shoot an arrow at it." And the guy's like, "Okay." So he shot an arrow at it, and he goes, "You know what a gazebo is?" And they're like, "No." And he goes, "Okay, the gazebo comes up and it smashes all of you," and he ended the game.
Wow.
But, it was just one of those things where it was like, hey, so have you guys anything interesting like that? Or
most of my campaigns and in close calls, they're pretty challenging. Nothing super stand out, but we've been close to party wipes before.
Okay, so what happens with that?
Normally I will notice that they're really struggling and I'll nerf the monsters on the fly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's play the hand of God right there. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you? Let's hear it. How did this happen?
So, one instance that I can think of is when we were going up against this giant tree monster that he had tremor sense. Yeah, it had tremor sense, so we couldn't get too close to it.
So what's tremor sense? Is that like vibrations, kind of like
vibrations through the earth?
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, it senses people through the vibrations.
Okay.
So we couldn't get too close to it, but I was a fighter at the time. I had to be close to do damage. And unfortunately, this tree could use spells. And if anybody, for those who don't know what Feeble Mind is, it drops your intelligence to
like one. Yeah.
And I got feeble-minded, so it was it produced a poisonous cloud around it to where it was constantly damaging me. But because my character was stupid, he thought, attack the thing that's hurting you.
Okay.
And he kept charging in when he was low on HP.
It forced him into a conflict that he shouldn't have been in.
So what happens when a character loses everything?
Well, they go into death saves.
Okay.
D&D 5th edition is not as harsh or scary, I guess.
Okay. A little more forgiving?
A little more forgiving, yeah. But you have 3 death saves, and if you then fail all 3 death saves, you die.
Okay. So they just kind of hang out while everybody's going through a session?
Right.
Okay. Interesting. So how does it make you feel to be able to do this? Like, I mean, was it a big undertaking to get the buy-off on this?
No, actually, my manager asked me to do it.
Interesting. So how do you feel like that you get this opportunity?
I mean, it's a good opportunity. It's like I said, we started it just once every 2 weeks, and there's demand for every week, and it's kind of cool to be to have it be my job.
Sure.
To be paid to run D&D.
Sounds like a dream job for somebody who's into it, right?
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
I know I would love it as a job.
Yeah. Well, how does it make you feel to be able to be a part of this, man?
Honestly, I feel great. I love playing the games. There's always something new going on, always something interesting.
Okay.
Sometimes it can be what the players do. Sometimes it can be what the monsters do.
That's interesting. It's cool. It's cool that you guys have been able to find that niche.
Yeah.
And it's like I think from more of a macro perspective, where you work, there seems to be kind of a all-encompassing. It seems like they seek out a lot to find out what sailors and people who are here are interested in, so that they give people the avenue so they're not out doing trouble every
Absolutely.
night. So, what other kind of programs do you think are good that MWR is putting out there for sailors?
Well, the single sailor as a whole is a good, everything is free. We host food. We have a lot of, every day we have something going on pretty much.
Yeah.
Tours, not just us, but Outdoor Rec and ITT, for people to go and experience Japan, not just live in the haunch.
Yeah. Have you guys, just real quick on that, have you guys thought about reaching out to some of the Japanese side of the community? And maybe, I know D&D, there's definitely groups out here that might do an exchange.
There are some Facebook groups that I follow, Japanese groups.
Okay.
I don't know that Liberty Center would do anything. I could do something personally, certainly.
Well, and I guess, what better than if you're in a foreign country interacting with the local residents,
Right.
Who in turn have a common interest, and our whole goal here is to build the relationship with the host country.
Yep.
And so if you have that common interest, you definitely, I'm sure you have something right there that can help, build those long-lasting relationships. So, I think how do you feel MWR's doing, keeping sailors occupied and keeping them, what your name is,
I think they're doing a good job. I think they've been doing a good job. I think we would have a lot more incidents than we do now. We haven't had an actual incident seemingly quite a while.
Right.
But just providing, the movies and the place to, go and work out, stay fit,
Yeah.
And, physically fit, mentally fit, all the programs that they offer. Yeah, I think MWR is doing a good job of giving sailors, an additional option.
Sure. You're in the grind of it. What about you? How do you feel MWR's done?
So, like you said, they provide lots of equipment for staying physically fit, as well as TV, games, even there's a little reading section in the back of Fleet Rec where you can sit there and read if you're into that.
Okay. So it's a little something for everyone. Well, I'm really glad you guys came out, and definitely we will try to make. Hopefully this will get out, and more people will show their interest. How many different campaigns are you guys running at one time?
Normally one at a time.
Okay.
Unless there's interest, then, like I said, if I have free time, I'm happy to run additional stuff.
Okay.
I think there was, I want to say, the building over the library building.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to start a campaign that was more inclusive for everybody on base, because we're just single sailor, right? I guess if they were to contact me, maybe I can go run something over there.
Yeah, it definitely would be help to get them off the ground with an expert, right?
Yeah.
So, well, I really do thank you guys for coming out. And what can people do to get in contact with you if they're interested?
Well, you can just stop by the Liberty Center.
Okay.
And then again, I'm Joe at the front counter.
Okay.
Old guy with a big goatee.
Okay.
And then to stay in contact, we do have a group Discord. Yeah.
Well, I thank you both for coming out, and I'll go ahead and kill this interview. And I will definitely hope to see that there's more growth and in your D&D community here at CFAY.
Cool.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
The Giant Voice podcast is a production of the Commander Fleet Activities Yokosuka Public Affairs Office. The views in the podcast do not necessarily reflect the policy of the Department of the Navy or the Department of Defense. Thank you for listening.